blaming the liberals when there was zero suspect that had been arrested. They had no identity. Fox News, right-wing influencers, right-wing politicians, kanks. The president of the United States unilaterally combined their message and blamed liberals. Well, as it turns out, the call was coming from inside the house the whole time, as is the case often with shooters. They're typically white, right-wing men. And I want to explain to the listener and to Pumps kind of what I've been researching all morning about the identity of this shooter, Tyler Robinson, and how the right wing alters off into these really crazy, very dangerous white nationalist echo chambers within the Maga movement. So let's just start with just a little bit of Kanks bashing here. You know, he was asked how he's doing because he referred to Charlie Kirk like a son to him. And here he is this morning on the White House lawn.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House. This is something they've been trying to.
So with the helicopter, you couldn't really hear it, but the reporter says, with all this Charlie Kirk stuff, how are you holding up? And he said, very good. They've started my ballroom. All right. So one of Trump's biggest supporters is Laura Loomer. Like, she goes hard in the paint for Kanks. She gets people fired. She calls people out online. She has been instructing everybody the last 48 hours that she's making a list of left-wing people that the left need to go after because, quote unquote, this is war. But 2 days prior to the murder of Charlie Kirk, she put this up. I don't ever want to hear at Charlie Kirk 11 claim he is pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as a political opportunist, and I've had a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be a pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next. Okay, so that happens a couple of days before. And then there's another far-right wing influencer named Nick Fuentes, and you've probably seen clips of his. Nick has this movement called Groypers, Groypers. And the Groypers are like the anti-Charlie Kirk. And this is very racist, very white nationalist, very niche. When you get into the MAGA hatosphere, it has all of these little subcults. And I believe that this is where Tyler Robinson had been spending his time, on places like 4chan, and all of these things collide. Also, it was reported that Tyler followed Loomer on some of these sites. I don't know if it is X or whatever, but here is Nick Fuentes talking about Charlie Kirk a couple of weeks, I believe the timeline is correct, a couple of weeks before the murder.
Kirk, he said.
So we finally know who the Charlie Kirk shooter is. And surprise, surprise, he wasn't some left-wing radical at all. He was raised in a Republican household, and there are even photos of him in a pro-Donald Trump costume for Halloween just a few years ago. That doesn't sound very left-leaning to me. But here's the thing. Republicans didn't wait around for any of that sort of identifying information. Before we knew anything about the shooter, they were already saying it was a Democrat and using that to say all Democrats are violent, even trying to say we should be labeled as domestic terrorists. They were calling for civil war and practically begging for it to be a left-wing extremist. And leading that charge was Nancy Mace. She went on record saying, "You guys in the press call me the most transphobic member of Congress." Turns out there were transgender, anti-fascist things engraved in the ammunition and the rifle that was apprehended. She even said the shooter was tranny or pro-tranny, baselessly. She said that before the suspect was even identified. No facts, no confirmation on any of this. Just raw desperation to make it fit her narrative. Well, Nancy, now we know the truth. The shooter wasn't a leftist. He was raised Republican. So here's my demand now that we know all of this. Apologize. Apologize for spreading lies about the trans community. Apologize for trying to pin this on Democrats without a shred of evidence. Apologize and resign.
We have a major update about the possible motive of Charlie Kirk's shooter, and this is something you're going to want to see because a lot of Republicans have been spreading some misinformation online. Earlier today, the Wall Street Journal reported that the FBI found the rifle that was used in the shooting, including ammunition that was engraved with anti-fascist ideology and other social issues. But that report is now being contradicted by the New York Times. They write in new reporting, quote, "A senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation investigation, cautioned that report had not been verified by ATF analysis, did not match other summaries of the evidence, and might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. In fast-moving investigations, such status reports are not made public because they often contain a mixture of accurate and inaccurate information. So the engravings on the ammunition may not have been there after all. I see so many people online trying to already establish a motive for the shooter when the shooter hasn't even been arrested yet. So let's just wait for information to come out before we make a definitive conclusion. The Charlie Kirk shooter is not trans. It's not an immigrant or a person of color or any of the premature labels that Maga gave him before he was even arrested, before we even knew anything about him. But if you went to some of these Maga influencer pages over the past 24 to 48 hours, you would have thought that they had him all figured out. You know, they were saying it's some blue-haired, crazy liberal who drives an electric vehicle everywhere or whatever crap that they were saying. But they had no idea, and we have no idea. To me, and I'm just speculating here, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, it looks like a case of radicalization. This looks like a young man who grew up in a Republican family in a conservative state who had a lot of access to firearms, who found himself too deep in internet culture, going down those dark rabbit holes and becoming crazy and doing something tragic because of that insanity. I don't know if this is left-wing or right-wing radicalization. I genuinely don't know. We don't know. Nobody has any idea yet. Authorities have not said anything about it. But man, what a sad situation, and it's so frustrating to see people in this space, the political space, especially on the right, pretending to know everything about this guy and the motive. Come on, man.
Why am I not surprised? The shooter wasn't a liberal or a progressive. He was a Trump donor. Look here, 2020, he gave $224 to the Trump Make America Great Again committee. And I'm also seeing that he dressed up on Halloween as Donald Trump in 2017.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less.
Oh, you heard it here first. He couldn't care less. So all of the Republicans, everybody on the right, and then the fucking white liberals that are trying to tell everybody else to have everything on to save it. Fucking save it. The president of this fucking country is using Charlie Kirk's death to incite more political violence. And then he gets on the air, and when he's asked about how to fix it, he couldn't care less. He couldn't care less. He goes on to say that the radicals on the right, the only reason that they're radicals is because they want to see less crime. So the people that are responsible for shooting up schools, that are responsible for committing hate crimes, are only doing that because they want to see less crime. Who the fuck are you fooling? Who in the hell does he think that he's fooling? We just watched Nancy Mace and all of the Republicans come out and try to start inciting violence. Then they found out that it actually was a Republican that did it. And then they started to change tune. And Donald Trump is on air saying that he actually doesn't give a fuck about any of this. He just wants to incite more political violence. That's all it is.
Trump killed Kirk. Israel killed Kirk. The far right killed Kirk. Don't believe me? Just find it highly suspicious. The timing of it all. You know, because nothing was working to distract people from the Epstein files or the fact that Trump is actively kidnapping and killing Americans with ICE, or the fact that Trump's economy has put in everybody in America in horrible debt and horrible situation. So they needed to distract people from the fact that the far right is making everybody's lives miserable. To them, Kirk is more valuable in death. Too suspicious.
Charlie Kirk being unalived has brought out a bunch of people that want to talk about how we should always respect everyone's decisions and thoughts and political beliefs. And don't do that. Don't ever do that. Because Here's one of your biggest issues when you try to play this whole centrist, everyone's okay beliefs. This guy right here didn't just say random stuff. He didn't just say stuff like, oh, I like chocolate more than I like sour or something, or I like my steaks well done versus medium rare. This guy talked about how immigrants were to blame for all of life's problems, society's issues, right? Taking housing, taking jobs, X, Y, and Z. He talked about how we were at war with Venezuelans because there were so many Venezuelans pouring over our borders and attacking our country that we had to be at war with them. He talked about how he compared abortion to the Holocaust. He talked about the black community in length through gun violence, systemic issues that they've suffered that he blames solely on them. Talking about DEI, affirmative action. He's hated on trans folk. Like, this guy's opinions actually shouldn't have been respected ever, period. And this whole idea that people, these centrists that tell you, oh, respect everyone's ideas, they're actually just helping the far right. You're helping racist people. You're helping hateful people because you're saying that their thoughts and ideas should for some reason be validated in our community, in our society. Like, we should hear them out. No. We shouldn't hear them out, actually. And I'm not here to condone what happened to Charlie Kirk, but I'm here to tell you that he spread hate. He was hateful. He attracted negative energy. No wonder negative energy came to him, right? He would go to colleges and spread his hateful ideas to young, impressionable people and try to get them to buy into white nationalism, white Christian nationalism. His ideas weren't that great, guys. It's okay to not allow... I don't believe in the freedom of speech because why do we just allow people to say whatever? There should be no point in that. And this idea of, oh, well, if it's not the truth, it'll get weeded out. That's not the case. We've seen with Trump, we've seen with populist people before. Truth gets shoved down to popular ideas, to populist thinking, right? The crowds will literally just shut the truth out. So I don't think that we should just be sitting there respecting people, everyone's ideas. If you have ideas that say that you're better than other groups, if you have ideas that says a certain group of people are less human than others, if you have an idea that because someone's sexuality, they have a mental issue, I actually don't think we should respect you because you are the problem. We've had plenty of things in our country that shouldn't have been respected, right? This whole idea that we just got to get along. When in our country's history have we ever needed to just get along? Slavery? Did we just need to get along during slavery? Did we just need to get along during Jim Crow? Did we just need to get along during segregation? Or was it when women were treated as property, did we just need to get along? Chinese immigrants, Irish immigrants, Polish immigrants, whatever, the immigrant of the year, when they were being harassed, did we just need to all get along? You know what I mean? You can't just get along with someone who's being violent towards other people. You can't just get along with someone who's oppressing you. That doesn't make any sense. If their beliefs have them above you and have them to have the right to oppress you, why would you just get along with that? You're already giving them the advantage because they are morally not acceptable, right? Their morality is somewhere below. And so they will take advantage of anything. You give them equal footing, all of a sudden they will push you off the mountain. You see what I mean? There's certain beliefs that don't need to have space, don't need to have light, don't need to even be talked about because they're just ridiculous. That's why we're still in these same situations that we've been in for decades. One of the main reasons is because we play this idea of, oh, everyone has a right to what they think and let's just be respectful. Let's just let everyone... If you think that the black community is less human than you shouldn't have that idea. You shouldn't be allowed to just say that. You shouldn't be able to say that women should just be property. You shouldn't be able to just say trans people have mental issues. They're all bad, X, Y, Z. You are the problem. You should be confronted. And if we confronted more of these people, I'm not saying go out there and do what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying if you go after these people and confront them and make them actually go on their beliefs and try to defend themselves, maybe they'll wake these people up because that's what needs to be done. Less hugging and loving and friendly understanding and more of being like, hey, dude, you're stupid. These beliefs are stupid. You're enriched in stupidity and you think that for some reason these beliefs are true. Now take a step back and let's look through an actual lens of reality and see that what you're saying is just ridiculous. Okay? So that's it. Too many centrists in this country, too many people that think everything should be allowed. Freedom of speech is nonsense. It's not even, we don't really have freedom of speech anyways in this country. If you say certain things about Israel, buddy, or if you say certain things about the president, you're going to get arrested. So let's just go ahead and extend that and say that if you're out here spewing racist nonsense, spewing misogynistic nonsense, you should be silenced too. Shut up. I can't believe there's so many people all of a sudden getting politically active because Charlie Kirk got assassinated and they haven't said anything about Gaza for 2 years, guys. At least 2 years. 2 years is the bare minimum, right, at this point. It just doesn't make sense. So, have a good one.
The death of Charlie Kirk shows not just how shallow Donald Trump is, willing to exploit anything for his own personal gain, but the incompetence of this administration. They are parading around after the catching of this killer like Kash Patel is some sort of investigative genius when he just showed up to Utah last night and has failed consistently through this investigation alongside Donald Trump and his lies. Lies which he was just caught in because of a police report that has actually been confirmed and is blowing up his conspiracies. And because of that, Trump is losing his mind. We're going to get into all of it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the latest details about this alleged shooter and why it is blowing up Donald Trump's lies, I want to start with what he had to say on Fox this morning that deeply disturbed me.
The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone.
Like this from Donald Trump is exactly why I've been so loud in my opposition to any idea that Democrats, for some reason, have to respond, that we have to mourn and eulogize Charlie Kirk, that it is our responsibility, like we're the NRA, we're the gun lobby, we've got in the way of stopping this epidemic of gun violence, a policy failure, or that we have somehow stoked political violence when this is disproportionately something that we see not only from the right, but encouraged by the President of the United States. Jesse Waters immediately got on air and called for war, and Donald Trump is now justifying any action that those of his followers see as retribution for what happened. And now we know the actual political views of this alleged assailant, and yeah, it's blowing up all of Donald Trump's lies. But before we get into how and why Donald Trump is responding so insanely as he always does, I want to see what other fodder he gave for the right in this interview, which is deeply disturbing.
He did to her was unbelievable. And then he walks through the knife is...
Trump instructing his followers to go out there and seek vengeance in their minds for Charlie Kirk. He's already made it clear that if you do so, that if you commit political violence on Donald Trump's behalf, like we saw on January 6th, he will back you. And not only will he back you, but he is now saying we are having swift trials for anyone who stands up to Donald Trump. Swift trials.
Am I a conspiracy theorist? Absolutely. And I don't want to believe that Charlie Kirk is a conspiracy. However, I'm already seeing too many things that's making me question everything. Go back and watch the video. We've all seen it. The number one thing that is bugging me out is he had this little black mark right here, just hanging out on his shirt. And all of a sudden, right before the shot, it moves. I thought it was the bullet or something, but it's on his shirt. It literally moves. That's number one. Number two, signaling of the security guard to his back right. Right before it happens, the security guard signals something with his arms. Go back, you can see that too. There's too many things that aren't adding up. One more thing I just thought of, how about the fact that that person on the roof looked very military, very tactical? Like that was not just a random person hopping on a roof. That was military. The Trump live stream, I was watching that last night and I thought like I was off or something because it didn't seem right, it didn't seem real. But now I'm seeing, like, other people are saying that there's a glitch in the video. Like, what's going on? I don't want to believe this was planned or a way to create civil uprising. And I'm distraught, man. I've been crying and crying ever since this happened. But something feels off.
Charlie Kirk's killing isn't just another news story. This is going to reshape American politics. And it's going to hit Trump right in the middle of it. Think about it. Kirk wasn't just some commentator. He was one of Trump's loudest and youngest voices. Someone who connected with millions of people that Trump needs in his corner. Now he's gone, taken out on a college stage. For Trump, this changes everything. He's going to lean on this hard. And honestly, who can blame him? He'll say conservatives under attack, that free speech is under attack, that if it can happen to Charlie, it can happen to anyone. And that message is powerful. it'll harden his base and it'll pull more people behind him. But for America, this is dangerous because every time we get an act of political violence like this, the temperature rises, the divide gets wider, people stop listening and start blaming. Some will point the finger at the left, others will accuse the right of stirring the pot. And in the middle, ordinary people are just left feeling like the country they knew is slipping away. This isn't just about Charlie Kirk. This is about whether America can survive another spiral of violence and division. And I'll be straight with you. The impact of this moment is only just starting to hit.